Hey guys, welcome to day 2 of the Magic spoilers or preview season. We've got quite a few cards from yesterday and today that we're going to go over all together. We've got some new awesomeness from the Exert creatures all the way up to the Afflict creatures, and a new god to talk about today. Before I jump into our new cards, I do want to say thank you for watching the video, and if you could do us a huge favor and head over to our YouTube channel, hit the like and subscribe buttons respectively, and that way you can be caught up on all of our videos as they come out each and every day and enjoy our great content that we produce on a regular basis. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. So the first card is Ran Up Hydra. This is a rough translation, but a translation nonetheless. So for 3 generic mana and 1 green, you get a 3/3 Hydra. Well, it's Snake Hydra. It has Vigilance, Reach, and Trample. And as long as you control a desert, it gets +1/+1. And as long as there is a desert card in your graveyard, it gets +1/+1. So the +1/+1 obviously stacks. That makes it, a limited bomb. How well it will do in standard is still yet to be seen. We're really looking for that that desert type of ability, creature synergy, and right now there really just isn't enough to go on. Will this creature be good in a desert deck? Heck yeah, but is that desert deck going to be good itself? That's still to be foreseen. So I like it. I'm kind of interested in playing it, although I like terrible cards, so this will definitely be a build around for me. But we'll see. The sad part is this will probably be the last set that we get deserts in. This is a perfect example of how Wizards can improve their storytelling, but also improve card quality with the new block structure, getting rid of the blocks and making every set a large set. There will be no more of this. Okay, this is a small set. Second set to the large set, and we've got to push all of the deserts in this set. All the desert matter things go into this set. Well, we really can't do that because we still need this, this, and this. So what gets cut? The stuff that's not as strong. So with the new set structure and that they've released last week or announced last week, each set is going to be a large set that gives us more cards, so more cards to develop, cards like this Hydra, and offer up more cards for the deck to make it, to make the deck a little bit more competitive. The other thing that it does is in like the core set and stuff like that, they can put desert matter cards in there as well because they'll overlap with the these cards, and then also you might still see some overlap with the from set to set, whereas when you go from block to block, currently there will not be any deserts in the next set in Ixalan. There won't be any deserts, so unfortunately there's not really going to be any love for this card past this set. So next we have Pride Servant. This is 1 green, 2 generic, 2/2 cat. It gets +1/+1 for each other cat you control, and then you can also pay 1 white, tap it, exert it, and create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink. So this is a fantastic card. It kind of is a way to a build around me for the cat decks. So it's obviously splashing white. So in your is it going to be good in limited? Probably not so much. Although if you're going white green in your limited deck, this is a great way to build up a board presence. Lifelink is not a ability to overlook in limited, but you never know. It's going to be a good card. Unfortunately, it's only a 2/2 until you either exert it, or maybe you've got a cat that you can drop on turn 1 or turn 2 to kind of help it out. So we'll see. But the first time you activate its ability, it goes up to a 4/4. That's not bad. So Let's see here. So Neheb the Eternal is 3 generic red for a legendary creature zombie Minotaur warrior. It's a 4/6 with afflict 3. So whenever this creature becomes blocked, the defending player loses 3 life. So that's not too bad. Attack with it. It goes unblocked. You deal 4. If they do block, they lose 3 and possibly lose their creature. This is a 4/6, by the way, so it's got a pretty big butt on it. The other ability that it has, which is interesting for red, in that it's a 5 mana creature. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, and I think this is one of the first times that I've read post-combat main phase on a card. There's definitely not many of them, but it's great that they're getting specific with these types of abilities. But anyway, at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you get to add 1 red to your mana pool for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn. Keyword there, 1 life your opponents. So if you're playing commander and you're dealing damage to multiple people, this stacks, which is fantastic. So it's just it's a great way to drop this on turn 4, turn 5 if you don't have the ramp, and then your turn 6 you can play a big creature, and then attack, deal some damage, and then play something else, or save all your mana and just kind of go ham on your second main phase. So all in all, looks like lots of fun. Will it see standard play? It's hard to say. Again, this is another way to cheat in your creatures and your spells and things like that with free mana. So you never know. I mean, just by him alone, if he deals damage, 3 mana from the afflict or 4 mana from the the attack without being blocked, that's 4 mana. 3 mana if he gets blocked. I mean, that's nothing to be upset about. So yeah, definitely worth looking into. So next up, we have a couple of new creatures. We've got our Lotus God, 4 generic, 1 blue, 1 red for a legendary creature god. He's a 4/4 flyer. And then basically the blue portion of this creature. When you draw a card, you get to create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature with flying and haste. That's fantastic. His ability, he's got a second ability. You pay 2 blue red. You get to draw a card, then discard a card. So effectively, draw a card, make a token, discard a card. And then it looks like this is going to be a theme with our nameless gods. When it dies, return it to your owner's the owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So, a dumbed down version of indestructible. Still have to cast it again, but you never know. So, and then the next card. This is interesting. I really enjoyed this card quite a bit actually. It's Mirage Mirror. It's 3 generic mana for an artifact. It's got an activate ability of 2 generic mana, and it becomes a copy of target artifact, creature, enchantment, or land until end of turn. Do note that this once you pick something, it does not have this ability, so you can't pick something else. It will lose this ability until end of turn. So once your turn ends or their turn ends, it becomes the mirror again. So could be a lot of fun. It'll be an interesting sideboard. I think it'll be a great sideboard card for those lengthy games where you're not going to play this on turn 3. You're going to play this on turn 5 or turn 6 or turn 7 when they drop their big creature or their finisher. You can put this down, copy it, and then you're golden. So let's see here. So we got a couple other. So these are the enchantment cards that were released in the past couple days. So we've got a couple rough translations here. So the first one is Swarm Intelligence. I apologize. No, this is the first one. Is first one is not Swarm Intelligence. The first one is Fraying Sanity. It's 2 generic and 1 blue enchantment or a curse. So we're getting another curse, which is fantastic. Enchant player. At the beginning of each end step, enchanted player puts X cards from the top of his or her library into their graveyard, where X is the number of cards that went into their graveyard from anywhere this turn. So it's definitely something that punishes players for playing spells, for bad chump blocking. I feel like there's got to be an infinite combo somewhere with this, where it just keeps hitting them every turn. I don't know. There's gotta be some type of combo in there that completes the loop, essentially. Anyway, it's cheap. It doesn't affect the board the turn it comes down, which is unfortunate. Unless you have a way to, discard cards or force your opponent to discard cards, or if you're in a controlling deck, that might be a thing that you can use in your deck. I don't really see it being a big star in Standard. As far as limited play, there's always these cards. This is the hard thing. There's always these cards just like this that there's, you mill your opponent, right? I'm going to mill my opponent. And, milling is a viable strategy. The problem, because they only have a 40 card deck, right? So you've only got to mill them, effectively. They draw 7 cards. You're not going to mill them out on turn, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So, they're drawing cards and playing cards or whatever. So you're really only having to mill them for like 25 cards, maybe a few more, but there's just not enough support in limited. And with this being rare, I don't think you're going to have enough. Now, if this was uncommon, then you might be able to, work something out where if you had 2 of these in your deck, and you played a control matchup where you're not playing creatures, you're playing counter spells, you're playing control spells to destroy creatures, you're playing creatures that affect the board and make players discard cards and things like that. Things that have first strike or death touch will be your best friend and stuff. So I don't think this is going to be playable. It's kind of, I think, in my opinion, I think it's a trap. In modern, there's got to be a loop somewhere. So anyway, so we're moving on. So next card we have Swarm Intelligence. This is again a rough translation. Enchantment. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may copy that spell and choose new targets for the copy. So a worse version of Omniscience. I know people don't like that comparison. Because Omniscience lets you cast spells for free. This kind of lets you cast another spell that you just cast. Unfortunately, it costs 7, so you're probably not going to cast anything that turn. And it's only instants and sorceries, so it's kind of limiting in that fact. In limited, it's going to be god awful because you don't play instants and sorceries, so don't fall into that trap. Even if you get the best cards of the best cards, it's not going to be worth it. So yeah. So Solemnity or Solemnity, I can't pronounce that word. It's going to be 2 generic, 1 white enchantment rare. Players can't get counters, and counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. Depending on how big the -1/-1 cards and decks are in this set, I know they weren't very strong in the previous set. However, Energy was a big player in the past in Standard, so this will be a good help against the Aetherwork Marvels deck. Oh, wait. Never mind. That card has been banned, so this will not see too much play. You do have the the Winding Constrictor decks and things like that, the green-black decks, that this will definitely hamper. You've also got some -1, negative shenanigans that are apparent in this set in red and black. So there's a couple of different things that this might help against. In modern, the first thing that comes to mind is Infect, but again, usually Infect is, on turn 3 you're usually dead, most likely turn 4. So green's got a ample number of cards to destroy enchantments, so this won't be too much of an issue for them. So moving on, in our last set of cards, this is interesting. So this is another desert. This first one, Scavenger Grounds. This is the colorless version of a desert. You can tap it, add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, and then you can pay 2 and tap it, sacrifice it, and you get to exile all cards from all graveyards. So gonna get that Dredge Hate out of there right away. I'm not really sure if this is going to impact. I mean, this will get rid of deserts in the graveyards, but if you're playing deserts, that means you want deserts in your graveyard. So this is kind of ho-hum. So we'll see. You never know. This could mean that there's going to be like a dredge mechanic coming up in the next set, just because there's so much graveyard hate. We'll see. Let's see then. Oketra's Last Mercy is the last card. It's a 1 generic and 2 white sorcery, rare. You get your life total becomes equal to your starting life total, and then lands you control don't untap during your next untap step. So this is kind of like the Bantu's Reckoning card, where it destroys all creatures, and then you can't untap your lands next turn. So it's it's an interesting card, interesting concept. I think the one deck that I think I would play at least 1 copy in my Soul Sisters deck, just for those aggro matchups and just for those long grindy games, where control magic is taking care of my Soul Sisters and then making it difficult to gain life, and then obviously they're knocking you down and stuff like that. I think there's enough removal in my Soul Sisters deck to give me a leg up, on the competition, just because, in a normal matchup, if you're at 5, 6 life, 3 life, 4 life, in that range and striking distance, most likely your board state is behind your opponent. So this isn't going to help you that much. Essentially, you're going to tap 3 lands. You're not going to tap anything else because you don't want all your lands to stay tapped. And then you're going to type wonk yourself, right? You're going to take, gain the 20 life, gain your life back, and then they're going to attack you all out and bring you back down to, 10, 9, 8, and then you can't untap, and then you're going to give them another turn to finish you off. So it's not going to be this spectacular, oh my god, the game started all over. In Limited, it's going to be an all-star. Just because in Limited, usually, you've got, you've expired your hand, you only have 1 or 2 cards possibly, unless things are going very bad for you. In that case, this isn't going to help at all. But if you're at parity, this is going to, provide you with a little bit stability. I remember, personally, I'm trying to remember what set it was. I think it was Angel of Serenity, I believe. I don't remember. It was at a pre-release, and basically it had this ability on a stick, and all of a sudden, I had him down to 1. He dropped the angel, and he went right back up to 20, and the game basically started back over again. So I eventually won that game, 2 or 3 turns later. But I feel like this is that same thing. This is much cheaper, obviously, but you've got that Punisher mechanic where you're not getting your lands back. So, all right, guys, that is all of the cards for this week. I really want to, or this week, the past 2 days, I really want to thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it very much. Like I said at the top of the video, if you could head over to our YouTube page, youtube.com/72DPI online, hit the subscribe button, and then that way you get all of the new content every day that it comes out. And then also head over to our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/72DPI online, to watch our live streams. We've got a new podcast coming up up tomorrow, Ball and Chain podcast, where we're going to talk about some video games and all sorts of good fun stuff. So yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.